everyone. I'm Matt. This is Desiree. We are here on December 5th, 2016. It was Monday West Coast Swing, and we were talking about musicality. So we started with kind of a warm-up to build our knowledge of phrasing and ability to hear that. I won't spend a long time on this video because it's in previous weeks. So we just put on some music. We practiced pointing on the 1 and the 8. Then we practiced dancing our 6-count footwork by ourselves while pointing on the 1 and the 8. We practiced doing basic 6-count patterns with our partner while still pointing on the 1 of 8. From there, I said if you were really comfortable with this, you could start to vary up what you did instead of just pointing. You could do maybe a shoulder shrug, you could like touch your head, put your hand out to the side. I like to do kind of like a grab and pull back in, whatever works for you. You can do like knee pops, you can do like a foot flick, and sort of like start to vary up that. And it was important that once you started doing these fancy things, you were still hitting the 1. And if some of you got so creative that you forgot to then hit the 1, it's important that you're tying it back to the groundwork.
Practice one thing at a time. It's okay to practice styling, and it's okay to practice timing or musicality, but choose one or the other to focus on to get better over time.
Yep. From there, we use this knowledge of 8s and how the phrasing works to move on to talk about more song-specific musicality. The song we focused primarily on was Breathe by Years and Years. We also use the song My House by Flo Rida. It's spelled like Florida with a space in the middle. So, I just put on the music, had you guys listen for things. What you noticed was that it repeats, often within an 8-bar chunk. So for Breathe, it has that bass line that starts very prominently and continues throughout the first minute of the song. We didn't listen further than that, but it would probably come back at some point. It's an important note if you don't know the song, listen carefully to the first 16 or 32 beats. That usually is kind of like the song's name tag. It tells you like, hey, I'm Breathe, I have this bass line. And so even if you've never heard the song and you only dance to the bass line, that still continues throughout the first minute. So like dun, 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 dun. And that part continues. Even though the lyrics come in over that, it's still in the groundwork. So from there, we talked about having you mime things with your hand, whatever you heard in the music, while also pointing on the 1. That was a little challenging for most people, so it's something good to work on. You could also just not hit the 1s with your other hand and just mime everything with both hands. Oftentimes you'll end up hitting the 1s anyway, as part of just what you hear in the music.
If you're super kind of new agey or super intuitive, like I feel that I am in my dance, sometimes I put on a song, and instead of what Matt is doing, I think of how it makes me feel and simply move my body to the feeling or mood of the dance and see what comes out, adding onto that the strike of the 1.
Yep. From there, we had everyone get up, and I put on the same song for you. Then we danced for the first minute, just by yourself, whatever you heard. So just doing something with either your footwork or your body work that accented part of the music. Obviously, this will be much more challenging to do with a partner, whether you're a leader or a follower. So I'm putting this on the video right now. So take any song you want, put on any song, just put on the radio for 5 minutes. Just dance to it by yourself, do anything you want, be alone in a room, close all the window shades, whatever you gotta do. And just practice dancing by yourself and see what things you hear. Because until you can really naturally accent things with your body that you hear in the music, it's going to be very complicated to add it in when you also have a partner that also hears things in the music. So we talked about, as a leader, I have a little bit more control over this because I can just lead stops or I can lead certain footwork to accent things like the bass line or Breathe. As a follower, it's important to think about filling the time and the space that the leader gives you. So if I give Desiree 3 squares of space, and she only fills 2, but does something musical, I don't care, because she didn't fill the 3rd block of space.
He tells me the what and the when, I tell the story of the how in West Coast Swing.
Followers can add extensions. If I lead a 6-count, Desiree could make it into an 8-count, but I don't want that to be my default, because that gets a little tiring as a leader to dance with a follower that's constantly drawing things out 2 beats. That was your class. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully you will practice hard, and we'll see you here next week.
Yeah.